stepping out of my comfort zone at the moment, and this video will be a really delicate thing for me and probably for many women in this world. But so I want to talk about the death, and in this video I will gonna talk specifically about the death of unborn child, and more specific I will gonna talk about the death of unborn child where it was your so-called choice to do a termination. It's really a sensitive thing for me to talk about, but I will gonna do that because many people are judging women who are doing termination. Everyone is judging, no one is asking what was your situation, why you did that. I'm quite happy I live in this country where it's not forbidden by law, because otherwise who knows if I would be still alive. But and it's really hard to start and to think what to say in this case. I've gone through termination twice, and in both cases I don't want to blame the other part only. It's not like I'm blaming them. I know, and the biggest problem when you do something like that, it's not only a grief coming about the fact that you actually lost one of your children, but there is like blame to yourself that you did that, and I think that haunts you for the rest of your life unless you start to accept few things. And first time when I had a termination, if somebody would ask, why did you do that? It was with a person, I don't know, I don't want to say like really specific things, so it's like it doesn't come out in a nasty way or whichever way. So let's put it that way. He was coming from community, and as much as I was like quite pissed off when I found out that how he said, oh, I accidentally couldn't control myself, but instead of saying me that straight away, he said that whenever I already found out that I was pregnant, what was really reckless from him. Never mind that. People are different and sometimes it happens like that. So he was coming from a community that when he found out that I'm pregnant, he straight away said, we can't have this child. And I said, why not? He said, well, I will be abandoned, I will be locked out of my community, and the worst case scenario will be that they will gonna actually come and kill you. And I was like in a situation like, I have already a child. I can't, well, to be fair, even living situation back then, it wasn't the greatest, but that would be different case scenario. Like I said in previous videos, you always can change something, you always can find solutions for many things, but when it came to the fact that it could threaten my life and my already only child's future, that's what made me think, and that was my point when I said I will gonna do that. And I did it, and it was quite early time, but nevertheless, when I was at a scan, I heard the heartbeat, and it made my heart broken that I have to do something like that. And as much as I want to say, yeah, it was my choice, in the end, it's in a way wasn't my choice. Because when it comes to a threat to your life and even probably your other kids and their life, then how you can say it was your choice? In a way it was. But if I need to sacrifice something, then I will gonna sacrifice unborn child. I know it sounds harsh and ruthless, but and I have been blaming myself for that all of these years till I think last year, and I couldn't forgive myself for all that. And that was one thing, and more or less emotionally and physically it was okay-ish, let's put it that way. You can't say it was easy, it was okay-ish. I could somehow cope with the rest of the things. But second time, and that was really harsh, that was one of the greatest lessons for me back then. Not back then, only after a while. Even now it's like a lesson what I still need to complete. So second time when I had to make a termination was when I got pregnant from my twin flame. I was happy. I was over the moon. I really wanted that child. I was like, especially because me and Shane back then, and Shane was the one who was always like already planning, oh, we will find a place where we will live. At first I will gonna live separately so everything calms down, and then we can plan slowly maybe about bigger house or things like that. So I was in that honeymoon stage when I was like so happy. It was like, I have this bright future, we will gonna live together, and now the baby, oh my god, what can be even better than that? And I really wanted that child. I really wanted, because I loved him so much, and I really wanted that child. And I already, by then, I had already both of my boys. And when I told him, I could see straight away he was scared. And he didn't want that child. As much as he was talking about our future back then, when he found out about the child, he literally got cold feet. And we didn't speak about it straight away, but after a few days he came across and he gave me a speech what was like with really reasonable arguments why I have to do termination and things like that. So the biggest, like, I remember as now, it was like the case. He said, oh, we can't have child now, we still need to know each other, so, and maybe in future if we will gonna be for at least a year, then maybe we can have a kid afterwards, and it will be really happy family then for us. And you know, like, as much as I was in love, I still tried to say, but maybe we can do it different way. And when he saw that this sort of type of argument don't work on me, he put in a play bigger weapons. He started to say, if my ex back then will find out that I have another child, she will not gonna let me see my daughter, she will gonna do everything, so I will gonna lose my daughter in the end. So he, and as much as he doesn't want to admit, and probably still he doesn't want to admit, because when we had a talk about it last year, and when I thought that it was like that we finally can talk about these things, he got in a defensive mode and he said, well, that was your choice too. I said, yeah, it was my choice in a way, but he said, I didn't stand next to you with a gun next to your head and didn't tell you to do that. Well, here's the harsh truth. As much as you don't want to admit, Shane, but it was an emotional, like, blackmailing gun next to my head. It was like, either do that or our lives will be ruined, whenever we both know it's a bullshit. Back then, I was just so much in love that I didn't see anything around. I was so all about Shane and trying to please him and do everything. If he would ask me the moon, I would bring him a moon from the skies. That's how bad it was. And as much as I didn't want to do that, I did do that. And the hardest part was that my time was quite already, like, I should say I did it in the last week when it's like legally allowed. And I remember as now, he said it was my choice. But when I was sitting back there in a hospital and I had this 5 seconds before I was gonna take the first pill, and I was sitting with that pill like that, looking at it, and I thought, maybe I shouldn't do that. I don't want to do that. Maybe I shouldn't do that. And then all his words about losing his child, about he will gonna live in poverty because of like how his ex will gonna ruin him and everything else, and every single excuse and everything else. I just cared and loved him so much that I didn't want to ruin his already existing life. Yeah, it was my choice too. But it was my choice to help him, and it was my, let's put it that way, naive hope that this will gonna make everything better for both of us. And so I did it. But on a day when I was in a hospital, it did hit me hard back then when I saw little tiny body coming out of me. I saw those little tiny hands, legs, head, little eyes, ears. And it's like literally you can see you killed your own child. How do you think I felt after? How do you think? Especially with all this... And he always just said it casually. Oh, thank you for doing this for me. I would appreciate more thank you a year ago when you would say, yeah, I know it was hard, it was in a way my fault that you were supposed to do that, but he didn't feel any regret whatsoever. And I think on that moment, that was the trigger, what triggered me big time, because I thought I'm over that. But the fact how he reacted and what he said, it just triggered me big time. And not to defend or offend him, from today's perspective I understand why he did that. And I have been thinking about it and digging deep a lot. Why did he react this way? I know why. From today's perspective, I know why. But it took me ages to forgive him, even for asking me to do that. It was even that bad at first that the grief was taking over, that I was so in denial about everything, that I still was putting him on a pedestal. And when one day, I think that was when my anger kicked in, I was so angry at him. I had a picture with him at my home, and it was in a frame with a glass, like normal frame. And I started to fist punching that big picture so badly that actually the glass broke on that moment. That's how much angry I was with him about what he asked me to do. And to be fair, it took me years and years and years to forgive myself for what happened.